Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now that we looked at some key elements of generative AI, that is how prompting works, how image and text models are trained, and why empathy in AI is not a good solution for humans, right? From this video on, I'll create a multiple series talking about two of my favorite tools, that is comfyui and Grasshopper3D, right? So the contents of this video are that why comfyui and Grasshopper3D for me especially. There is something called as a parametric process. Then what can be done with these tools, the details about these tools. I will be comparing these tools with other tools from the same category, then prerequisites and computer configuration that is needed to run these tools. And lastly, we'll look at the installation process. comfyui and Grasshopper3D have been my most used tools on a daily basis, where I use comfyui for any generative AI stuff that could be creating images, videos, upscaling, and anything apart from generative AI, that is 3D modeling or fabrication drawings. I use Grasshopper for it. And if you don't know, comfyui removed UI from it, and now it's only called Comfy. And this is their new logo, which I think came on 6th of May, and I really like it. The old logo was this, which was not really great. And Comfy and Grasshopper have a lot of similarities even with this, because Grasshopper earlier when it was launched was called Explicit History and not Grasshopper. So we will look at what are the similarities between these tools and why I think that working with these tools simultaneously is a great solution, right? So I will be dividing my screen into two parts. The left side will be for Comfy and the right side will be for Grasshopper. When you look at them visually, this is what they look like, right? So Comfy and Grasshopper visually at first glance kind of look very similar, right? They have something called as nodes which connect to each other in Comfy, and in Grasshopper there are something called as components which again connect using wires. Both have wires, both have color coding. There is a lot of similarities between them, even the way you group, the way you connect things from left side to right side. A lot of things are very similar, but at the back of it, both of them follow something called as a parametric process, right? And I am a huge fan of parametric design. That includes creating patterns, architectural design, or just working with abstract geometries. I love parametric design, right? But while Grasshopper works with parametric design, comfyui is not a 3D design oriented software. It is able to create pixels, that could be image generation. Of course, you can create 3D using TripOSR and other stuff, but mostly let's say it's a kind of pixel generated tool. And in a sense, we call these tools as visual scripting, which has some kind of modules or graphs that are connected. Now coming to parametric process. So this is what I think is a good definition of parametric design. Is a method of creating system. Now that system could be creating any kind of a visual script using anything. You could use maths, you could use logic, you could use different algorithms, and that are connected together, right? In this case, they are connected through wires, and change in any one parameter changes the output. So that's what I define parametric process as. It's a little bit different than parametric design, but the process says that if you have anything that are connected together, right? And these three words are very important. Creating a system that are connected together, and change in one changes the output. And these are not only two tools. There are a lot of tools that follow parametric process. For example, you have Houdini, you have Dynamo inside of Revit, you have Blender, you have Touch Designer. So there are a lot of tools that are coming up. So now let's see what do I mean by a parametric process, right? So for example, this is how a comfyui workflow looks like, right? You have some kind of nodes connected to each other. Now let's say I just wanted to keep everything same and wanted to only change the resolution, right? So I get this as square because this is 512 by 512. But if I make it 1024 by 512, I'm going to get a landscape images. I don't need to change anything else in the entire script, right? And that's what I mean by a parametric process, where everything else remains the same. We are not even going details into much of what all of these other nodes are, but that's what it means, right? On the contrary, let's look at something that is not a parametric process workflow. So let's say you take Midjourney, for example, right? You add a prompt, right? And then you get an image. The next time, you can't only add a resolution, right? You need to add the entire prompt. Of course, you can just click on it. You got to add the entire prompt, then add resolution, then maybe add style reference, character reference, and things like that, right? So that is the key difference between a parametric process and a non-parametric process, where only change in one parameter or any number or a text changes the output totally. And why I say what I mean by things connected together. For example, this is how generally unconnected geometries look like. Now this is an example of a simple column where any change in one of these dimension is not affecting the entire geometry, and that's what mostly other tools work with, right? But whereas if things are connected together, if I change only one parameter, the entire output changes because they all are connected together, right? And that's what happens in a parametric process, where when I change any number, the entire thing gets changed, right? Now let's see what these two tools can do, right? So I told you that comfyui, you can make images, videos, and things like that. Apart from that, there are a lot of other things that can be done with comfyui. For example, in this case, you might have used Kriya AI, the tool, where things are happening real time, right? So the same thing can be done with comfyui as well. And again, comfyui is totally free. You can install free on your computer if you have enough graphic power. Then you can use it for rendering as well. So I created a render. I wanted to test out different materials for it. So I can just quickly change the material using ControlNet, and then you get different variations of it. Then you can mix different designs as well. For example, in this case, I am mixing architecture. You can mix anything. I don't know if you have seen this trend that's going on Instagram where people kind of mix animals. So that's how I came up with this idea of mixing architectural forms, and it does well, right? I don't know any other tool that can do this. And you can make n number of options with this. Now this one is little interesting, where I am using a video from Grasshopper. So the earlier part that you saw, this part, the video is generated in Grasshopper, and I am rendering that or kind of adding architectural forms to it using comfyui, right? So I'm using ControlNet, and that's how I generally like to use it, because with Gen AI, it's very difficult to control it. You might have tested multiple tools. You rarely get the way you want the output, right? And to have some kind of control, I think it's important to use a tool that is not a Gen AI tool. Maybe in this case, I'm using Grasshopper, but you could use any particular tool that you like, right? And then I created architectural forms with it, and then I outpainted each of these forms, right, in a specific context. Then I just created these kind of tree shapes and then converted into architecture. And then I created these patterns again in Grasshopper, converted those into architectural forms, right? So I really like to interchange between Grasshopper and comfyui, because it allows me to have some control and also let AI have some control, right? Now this particular video is showing how segmentation works, where this person is dancing. What I did was I segmented out, again this is totally done in comfyui. I segmented him out, and then I am using an image of a building to morph on this particular person. So you will see now this has like windows and floors and trees and things like that, right? And the entire video works that way. Now you can use it, comfyui, to create 3D. Then I use it into Rhino and you can 3D print it, right? So that's also easily done with comfyui. Now let's say you have a design you want to do on an empty site. You can maybe create designs quickly in Grasshopper, overlay on that image and render it, or you can sketch as well, right? So there is a lot of overlap between these two tools, the way you want to use it. Then of course you can create videos with it. This again was totally done in comfyui, and then I upscaled also in comfyui itself. And the quality is quite good, right? Now this is interesting, where you have something called as a LoRa, or a low rank adaptation model. For example, let's say, now I'm not a famous person, right? If I want AI to understand my face, I have to create my own model, which is basically called a LoRa, right? Which kind of takes a specific characteristics of my face. It's not training a model for the so many data set, but only 10 to 15 images. And these LoRa's are done to add a specific style to a specific image. in my case, it could be my face, but in this case that you see on the screen, this is kind of showing how architecture will look like when it is dilapidated, right? And I wanted to see what happens when the water level will rise in India and how the architecture of different contexts will look like. So I took the one image and then kept on redefining the LoRa until seeing what happens, right? Then you can, of course, take an image of an existing building or anything that's happening in reality, and then imagine the way you want to imagine using control nets and things like that, right? And then again, lastly, what we saw in Rhino MCP video, you can create a context and then you can render it using comfyui. So again, to reiterate myself, I really like to work with these two tools simultaneously. That is Grasshopper to get some control, and comfyui to add the Gen AI processes to it. Now let's look at what you can do with Grasshopper, right? This is a plethora of things that I do with Grasshopper. So let's play. So of course you can do animation, you can create amazing forms, patterns, everything can be done. Then you can of course 3D print it, because again, this is, you can take things in reality. It doesn't work with pixels, it works with units like centimeter, millimeter, inch and things like that. You can use it for optimization using radiation or view analysis in this particular case. And then you get a catalog of designs from which you can choose the best one that suits your design. Then there is something interesting that you can do in Grasshopper. You can simulate live things in the way they work. For example, there is something that bounces, or a way a curtain flies, or when water drops into water surface and creating ripple pattern. So all of these natural phenomenon, they call it as physics engine. You can simulate that in Grasshopper in real time, right? Now this particular one is a ball bouncing. It's really interesting. Then you can create patterns and you can overlay any sort of image on top of it. This again is working with physics engine and kind of seeing how when a wind passes through a mesh, how it floats. And I really like doing that. This is using minimal surfaces, where seeing how different things are connected together. Again, this is using different images using the threaded technique, where you break it with the respect to color of the image. You can use it for structural analysis. This is using the plugin called Karamba. There are a lot of plugins with Grasshopper that you can play with. Now this one that you saw, which there was a music, right? Use Grasshopper to create generative art as well. So what I did was I used the wavelength and frequency of that particular music, and these undulations that you see are generated by its frequency and wavelength, right? Go ahead. Yeah, then of course you can create architectural forms. This is when I was learning Grasshopper. Of course, I was introduced to Grasshopper in 2017, and since then I have not looked back, right? And amazing, Yeah, of course you can create amazing, beautiful designs. These are rendered in Twinmotion. Then you can also simulate paper folding techniques. This is using a technique of kirigami, which is again a paper folding technique, and you get converted into a model. So these few ones are showing digital fabrication. Now let's say you have kind of a design, you want to convert panels, right? With Grasshopper, you can flatten those panels. So you can imagine if you have to kind of make them in reality, right? A bent surface would be more expensive to make than a flat surface. So that is what you can do with Grasshopper. You can make all of them as flat to reduce the cost of fabrication, right? And then you can add tongue and groove joints, and then you can split all of them separately, label it, and all of this is totally done in Grasshopper, right? Now this is done with paper folding. Again, you split them, you can open them up, and you can laser cut it or manually cut it and fold it, right? This again is kind of understanding how, if you have a geometry, what kind of module would fit in it, right? So testing different modules, you can interlock it and create patterns, right? Now these were not imported into comfyui because comfyui didn't exist back then. These were my experiments in 2020, 2021. But it would be good to see how that would work in comfyui as well. Now this one works with minimal surfaces, where what you are trying to do essentially is convert this model into strips, one that goes horizontally and one that will go vertically. So then you can, using zip tags, you can join those pieces together. So firstly you label them out, then you kind of laser cut it, and then you can connect those and create this architectural, it's a sculpture basically. This kind of spaces can be generated. Now coming to when I showed you the wind is going through a cloth and you get these kind of a curtain effect, right? I wanted to go further into it and see what all can be done, right? So first you will see in this particular video, I kind of converted into a pavilion. So you get n number of options. I chose one and then I converted that into a pavilion, and then I think I 3D printed it. I love when things kind of come to reality, even if it is in a small scale. Then I took it further again, and then I checked what can be done when you want to make it a sculpture out of it. So you get these kind of flowing patterns, and then I kind of found the center point of it and converted this into, again, a 3D printable model. Split them up. I wanted one to be white PLA and other to be base to be clear PLA, so it looks more as a floating design. And that's the product of it, right? Which in my opinion looks good. But what later I did, I used all of these pieces and more to create my own LoRa. So if you see at the bottom, this is a training data set that I used, and these are the outputs from AI. This is a flux model that I trained. Then I started adding materials, converting that into pavilion spaces, and then into architectural spaces, right? So you can see how they both kind of work together, which is Grasshopper and comfyui. And I love to do this, and we will be exploring this in multiple videos over the next couple of months. Okay, now let's see some details. So like I said, comfyui was released 2 years back in Jan 2023. I have been using comfyui for the past 1.5 years. On the other hand, Grasshopper was released on March 2008. The word explicit history was in 2007, and then they released it as Grasshopper in 2008. And it's been 17 years. I have been using it for more than 5 years now, and I absolutely love this tool, right? So comfyui was developed by Comfy Anonymous. This Grasshopper was developed by David Retton at Robert McNeil and Associates, because Grasshopper is integrated with Rhino, right? Whereas comfyui is a standalone independent software that you can use it locally or online. Now, comfyui works with Gen AI, that could be images, videos, 3D model. Grasshopper works with parametric 3D modeling, right? Could be 2D as well. And then both have amazing ecosystem of plugins. So Grasshopper has plugins for structural analysis, solar analysis, creating generative art, everything that you can imagine. There is also a plugin that can use stable diffusion inside of Grasshopper. I have tested it, but it takes a lot of time, and then the control net and all doesn't really work really well. So we're going to not use that plugin in Grasshopper. Okay? And with comfyui, you have a modular system where you have custom nodes, you have control net, and things are just adding every day with comfyui as well. Now, one thing that I love more than anything about these two tools is the community aspect of it, right? I stay here in Belgaum, and I get to talk rarely about these tools because nobody uses this a lot. But because there exists forum, for example, Rhinoceros forum, if you go inside that, you can go to Grasshopper. You can ask any question that you want. Of course, you can't just say that I want to make this, can you help? Nobody's going to help that way. You have to make an attempt, and then there will be person to guide you. And that's how I have learned a lot of Grasshopper. Now, same with comfyui. They have the Discord server, and also they have forum.comfy.org, where if you have any problem with installation or any nodes that you're facing, you can ask directly a question and somebody will be there to help you. So this aspect of these two tools, I really, really like and appreciate, and I thank them for having this community. Without that, it would be very difficult to learn these tools alone, right? And like I said, both of them follow parametric process. Before finalizing these two tools, let's say, I also tested a lot of other tools, right? In a market, especially in architecture or design, there are so many tools, and I think the best way to figure out the tool that works for you is to test all of them or most of them. It's like when you go to buy a car, you test drive most of it, right? And that's how you got to do with these tools as well. And that's what I also did. For example, with Gen AI, I tested most of all the Gen AI tools I've been testing, like Midjourney, DALI, Leonardo, Kria. I also tested Automatic 1111. I don't know if you have used Automatic 1111. Automatic 1111 came before Comfy. Uh, it both work with Stable Diffusion, but Automatic 1111 looks something like this, where you add your prompt, you add the same configuration and the customization is the same. But it was too confusing for me by all of these toggles and buttons. And now this is just text to image, right? So when it goes adding control net, add on IP adapter, it goes on into a long kind of a paragraph, right? And it was really confusing for me. Some people might say that Automatic 1111 interface is much better than Comfy, but like you have to understand that I have been using Grasshopper for more than 5 years. So for me, it was an easy jump to Comfy than Automatic 1111, right? And similarly, I tested a lot of architecture tools as well, like AutoCAD, SketchUp, Revit, Dynamo, Blender, and I still found Grasshopper to be the best, I also made a kind of a tabular chart comparing all of these tools. So this was done when I finished my 100 days of Gen AI series. So what I did was I wanted to see what these all tools would compare or stand with each other. And you can see, obviously, I like comfyui more. There is a bias. Of course, you will see there is a bias because I like these tools. But what I did was I listed out with price. Like comfyui is totally free. Midjourney is expensive. All of these, you got to pay some or the other. DALI's, sometimes you have to pay for it because it gives only 25 images. Then ease of setup, I understand this is where comfyui lacks. It lacks. Really, really lacks. Learning curve also, it lacks. That's why there are a lot of tutorials and that's why there's a community for explaining all of this. Creativity, I think it's 4. Midjourney, I still feel has the most creativity. Control, yes, comfyui is the best. Stable diffusion basically means Automatic 1111. Both of them are kind of similar. Prompt accuracy, I still feel DALI and now ChatGPT is doing really well. Image quality, I still feel there is no par with Midjourney. The way it stylizes and all of that, there is no par. And I think that I have to give credit where it is due. So there is no comparison to Midjourney, and lastly, with privacy, right? Because I want to know where these images are getting stored, right? Now, because comfyui works locally on my computer, everything is happening on my computer, so I can access them. I don't really know who is using these images or what are being done in other tools. I also tested these comfyui with upscaling tools like Magnific, Midjourney, Kria, Pixop, Upscaler, and I still think comfyui is the better tool because now you don't really have to only upscale with HTXL. You can upscale with Flux. You can upscale with HighDream. And also now in the recent update, if you have seen, comfyui has come up with API, right? So basically now you can connect Comfy with lot of other tools as well, like Luma AI. It could be Kling AI. You just have to connect your API to it. We will see in the future videos and add some credits and you can use it, which will also solve some of the drawbacks of comfyui. Now, similarly, comparing some of the architectural tools, right? I think Grasshopper is the best in my opinion. And where it really shines to digital fabrication, like you can use CNC machine, you can use RhinoCam and directly give it for CNC cutting, laser cutting, 3D printing. And the community, like I showed you, you can just ask and somebody will be there to answer, right? Then interoperability between different tools. Like you can use Grasshopper with Revit, you can use Grasshopper with Blender, and then plugin. There are so many plugins for everything. It's crazy, right? Blender really comes close. I think the only thing, because I like parametric design so much, there is a little bit of bias, you can say, but Blender comes really, really close. Now let's look at what are the prerequisite. So both are compatible with Mac, Comfy and Grasshopper. comfyui needs a lot more graphic intense processor than Grasshopper. Grasshopper needs around 8 GB RAM and RTX 3050 should do. I had my old computer which was, if you know GTX, NVIDIA GTX 1060. So it was working with that as well. So you don't really even need RTX 3050 for it, right? I tested both of these with my AMD laptop, which has a Ryzen 7, 16 GB RAM and RTX 3050. And both of these work. comfyui is little bit slow, but it does work. So you don't really need the best configuration to work. And of course, comfyui has its online version as well, right? With Grasshopper, anything really works. If you have a little bit of good 4 GB VRAM, graphic RAM, it does work, right? And then coming to the costing, comfyui is totally free and open source. Grasshopper is free for 3 months. So because it comes with Rhino, the licensing is 3 months for your email. After that, either you can buy educational or commercial one. Now, what is the disk space that you will need, right? Grasshopper, it's 5 GB to 10 GB is more than enough. With comfyui, 50 GB is also not really enough, but I would recommend at least having 50 GB in your solid state drive. In my computer, have around 300 GB of data of comfyui. And you're wondering why 300 GB? So each model is around 6 to 7 GB. For example, if I take HDXL realistic vision model, it's around 6 GB. So even if I download, let's say 3 model, that corresponds to 20 GB is already done. Then you add control net, you add IP adapter, you add flux. So you will never know where 40, 50 GB goes, unless you find one model and you are okay with it, fine. But have at least, I would say, 50 to 100 GB in your SSD, right? And then you got to use mouse with scroll wheel, right? That is a must with both of these tools. Okay, now let's come to the installation process. First, we will look at installing Rhino because Grasshopper is inside Rhino, and then we will look at comfyui, both the local version and the online version. Right? So Grasshopper is very, very simple. You just go to rhino3d.com. Okay, right now you will see here my account already is logged in. What you got to do, you got to click on download. Once you click on download, you will get different options either for Mac or Windows. You get 90 days evaluation version. Okay, click on that. Then it will ask you a survey. You can fill it up or not. It's completely up to you. Then it will say download Rhino 8. So you can click on download whichever version you want. This is English. Depending on your language, you can select different language as well. This one, which I have redacted, is the license key. Okay, you will get it in your email as well. But if you want, you can always write it down. So download it. Download the software. It's around 700 MB. Install it. Once the installation is done, you just have to add this key and then you will get license of 3 months, right? Right now mine says 16th of July because I had used for Rhino MCP, and this is on my other computer, not the one which I have bought it. Okay. And then, right now if I try to install, it will say either uninstall or modify, but that's fine. Okay. So you got to do that. Just go to rhino3d.com, add your email address, download the 90-day version. You will get a serial key, install it. You just have to double click it. It's nothing really complicated. Add the license key and 90 days Rhino will start working for you, right? The complicated part is installing comfyui, okay, or comfy, right? So what you got to do here, right now they have made it much, much easier, and I thank the entire community of Comfy who is working on it. 1.5 years back when I was installing, it was a total tedious process. Okay. Right now, what you got to do, and the website, they have made it brilliant. I absolutely love it. I finally feel like they're catering to the art side of Gen AI and making this website, right? So you got to go to comfy.org. Okay. It's very, very simple. Go to comfy.org, then go to download, click on download. Then you will get 2 options, either download for Windows or download for Mac, install for GitHub, right? Since Comfy now is released, I don't think we really need from GitHub. It was beta version for a long time, but from 6th of May, which is 3-4 days back, I think we can directly do this. So if you're using Mac, it says that M1, M2 or M3. You can click on download for Windows and then it will download. It's around roughly 108 MB. Okay. Then you click on this. It will start installing. And then comfyui will open, right? So this app will start opening. Now, if you don't have Git installed in your computer, this message will pop up, which says download Git, right? Because Comfy has to pull repositories from GitHub, right? That's why we need to install Git, right? In GitHub, there are different repositories for, let's say, anything. It could be ControlNet or it could be installing Comfy Manager. So Comfy has to pull those through your computer. That's why it needs to install Git. So you can just say open Git downloads page and you will be sent to this page, which is git.scm downloads. You can download for the Windows version, right? It says click here to download. Simply click on it and then it will download it, and all you need to do is keep on pressing next, right? Earlier we had to change directories, but I tested 2 days back. We don't need to do it right now. So you can keep on clicking next. You will get this wherever you want to install it. I would suggest keep it where it recommends. Keep on saying next, again go next, and there are more steps. You just have to click next, 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 and it will be done, right? And then you can say finish. So you need to install both of these. One is Comfy and one is Git, right? Once that is done, once Git is installed, then with the Comfy app, you will be greeted with this page, which asks you select GPU, right? Ideally, you need to have NVIDIA GPU for it. So click on NVIDIA GPU, then go to next. Once you click on next, it will ask you where do you want to install it, right? You could install it anywhere, doesn't really matter. Ideally, it should be in SSD, which is generally the C drive. So you can install anywhere in C drive. You can create a new folder if you want, and you can install it there as well. Then it will ask you, do you want to migrate from existing installation? For example, if you have older version of comfyui, it will ask you if you want to take all the models and directly start feeding in this version of Comfy. Right now, you don't need to do that. If you have, you can just select that particular folder here. If not, you can just click next. Once that is done, it will ask you for these two options, whether you want them to use your the way you're using Comfy, and whether you want to use automatic updates, right? It's up to you what you want to do with this. And then you can just click on install. Okay. And then Comfy will start installing. It will pull all the repositories. It will pull everything. It will create its own folder, everything. Don't have to do anything. It takes roughly around at least 15 minutes, depending on, again, it depends on your internet speed as well. So it takes, let's say 15 minutes, and you will see all of these. Don't do anything. Don't touch anything. You will see all of these being installed on your computer. It will say that, okay, this repository directory is created, which is output, input, model folder, custom nodes. Everything will be created for you. You don't have to do anything. And then once everything is done, it will start, right? And like I was saying I was installing this on my 3050 GPU laptop, and this works. So if you have a 3050, don't need to worry about it. Don't need to buy the most expensive GPU for it, unless you're going to do video creation or you're going to use Flux model. Then we will see what to do about it. And once it is done, it will automatically start, and that is it. That's all. It has become so simple, and this is how it looks like when it opens, right? Now, like I was telling you, it has started introducing API nodes as well, which you can connect to other tools, other AI tools. For example, Luma, Pika, Ideogram, which will really help Comfy with text generation, right? And we will test all of these as we go further with the videos. You don't need to do right now anything. You can just click outside anywhere, or you can just click outside, and then the first thing that you will see are all these templates, right? These are all the templates that it's there. These are you can say example workflows. You can click the first one, which is this image generation. When you click for the first time, because you will not have any models installed, right? You can imagine Comfy as the chassis of a car, right? It doesn't have the engine yet, right? So we got to install the engine, we got to install the steering wheel, wheels, all of it. Right now, this is just the chassis of it. That's why it's only 106 MB for installation. But as you keep on adding, then it becomes much, much heavier, right? You can keep on upgrading your car, right? It's like a game, But anyway, you will be greeted with this because there is no model yet. You can download this model with around 2 GB, which is this one. It's a HD model, not HDXL one. And we will look at later on what is HD, what do I mean by HD, HDXL, Flux, High Dream. Right now, just understand those are some words. HD basically stands for stable diffusion, but we will see later on what it means. So you can download this. The downloading will start. It will go to 100% and it will tick. So when it ticks, that means that model is downloaded, right? But you will not see that model immediately, right? You got to refresh it. Whenever you download anything new in comfyui, you have to refresh it. So what you can do, either you can just hit R on your keyboard, or you can go to edit and say refresh node definitions, right? Either is fine. You can either click on this or click R, right? And then this one with load checkpoint model, if you click on it, you will see the new model downloaded, okay? And then this is the prompt that comfyui comes with pre-installed. Just press run and you will get this output. if you will be able to successfully done till here, amazing, right? There are a lot of possibilities to explore now if you can install Comfy till here, and they have made so much installation process easier, right? And then you can just play with this particular model. You can change the prompt. Okay, sorry, this came on top of it, but anyway, you can change the prompt. This was kind of architecture made of wood and concrete, and you get this output, right? That is it. You have achieved amazing things to be done with Gen AI and Comfy right now. Okay. This other thing that you need to install, right? You will see on top here, there will be something called as a manager, right? It's called Comfy Manager. If you don't get this installed, right? I checked twice. Once I got it installed, but second time I didn't get it installed, right? To install this, what you got to do, basically it looks like this. You will see this manager button, right? Why this is helpful? This is helpful so that you don't really have to figure out in the internet where those particular models are. In the manager, everything exists. So if you want to download a particular control net, it will be there. If you want to download a particular model, it will be there in manager. And this is really, really helpful, right? If it exists, good. If not, you got to do these next steps, right? So go to this website, which is called github.comfy.org/comfyui manager. Just go to this website, right? What it tells you to do is you got to clone this repository, right? And that's why Git was installed on your computer, to be able to clone these repositories, right? So you got to copy this, copy git clone, whatever this entire thing is. Then in your computer, where Comfy is installed. So in mine, it was installed in C drive, documents, comfyui. Then you got to go to custom nodes. Okay. If you go to custom nodes, click on this bar. Okay. I will show you also how to do this. Click on this bar and type CMD, right? Which opens a command prompt. So this will open. This command prompt will open. And here you have to paste that, which says this kind of entire thing, git clone everything till manager. So paste it, git clone entirely and press enter. So this will now start pulling the manager from the Git repository and it will say done. Okay. Once it says done, close your comfyui. Okay. If it is open, if not, you can restart comfyui and here it will say that it will find the manager path. See, it says Comfy Manager, C drive, documents, user, wherever it found the path, right? And in your, even the custom nodes folder, you will see this comfyui manager added, right? Once that is done, if you open comfyui again, you will see this manager there, right? So two things you got to do this. We will look at manager in detail, okay? But you got to do this, okay? And if you are looking to work on the online version, you got to go to this website. I'm showing this as pictures because if I do all of this together, my computer might freeze. So that's why I thought this is the best way to do it. So if you have to run comfyui locally, online, what you have to do is you go to this website called runcomfy.com. Go to this website, then say get started for free. Okay. Once you click on that, it will ask you login basically. You can sign in with Google or you can use your own email ID and password. And once that is done, you can enter it. And here you'll be seeing your name, right? And you have to add some money to it. Otherwise it will not work. Right now you see I have added kind of $10 to it. If you don't add this, you will not be able to work on any of those models, right? So again, I'll briefly recap what we did. You have to install Rhino, which is very easy. Go to rhino3d.com. Just use your email ID, download it, install, done. Second, go to comfy.org. Then download it for either NVIDIA or Mac. Then if Git is not installed, it will ask you where to install. You just click next and it will be done. Then select NVIDIA GPU. Select where you want to install. If there is already existing comfyui, you can add the folder there. And you just say next. It will start downloading everything for you. Done. Then first time you open, you will see examples. Click on the image generation example. It will ask you whether you want to download this model. Download the 2 GB model. It's fine. We can delete it later on and test. Now you can just change the prompt and test how it works and click on run. Every time you want to run, Just click on run and it will, a new prompt will be, image will be generated, right? Then you got to install manager. If it comes pre-installed, amazing, you are good. If not, go to the link that I told you, which is comfyui manager, copy that link, git clone, go to wherever comfy is installed. In my case, it was C drive documents. Go to the custom nodes folder. This is really important to go to custom nodes folder. Then click on top here in your computer and say CMD, okay, and paste that link. Press enter, close comfyui, open, it will start, right? I will show you what I am saying, all of it, because I think it's easier to show as well. So in my case, I then again installed again and C drive. So here you see C drive. I go to C drive. Then there is something called as comfy, right? Open this, go to custom nodes folder, double click on it, right? You see right now manager is not installed here, right? It's not installed. What I can do, click on this and type CMD, enter, okay? And this terminal will open. Then go to the link which I told you, this one, the first one. You click on the first link, then go down, scroll down. Yeah, this one, installation. Copy the second one, which says git.clone, and copy the entire thing, Control C. Then go back to the terminal, Control V, enter. And then it will start cloning it, right? It will start cloning it. It will take some time, okay? And it says done. So that means comfy manager is installed. If I go back to my custom nodes, you will see comfy custom nodes, comfyui manager is installed. Once that is done, if comfy is open, you can close terminal. You can also close comfy. Then you can just run comfyui, right? I click on that app, comfyui. It will start running. You see now comfyui manager and all will be loaded. You see here, startup time 1.8 seconds, and then done. Amazing. Everything is installed. Manager also is seen. I've already downloaded this model. So when I click on it, this model is already selected. And now all you have to do is you have to change the prompt. That's all you have to do. Return this prompt, close up photo of a cat sitting in a balcony. I run this. Look, we get the image, right? It's not the best image yet because this model is 512 by 512. It's a HD model. We will see how to download a different version. Okay, it's saying that do you want to update? I'll say later on. And you can keep changing the prompt. Let's say it's, I don't know, building in the jungle during snow. Yeah, it's fine. And then you get this. Amazing, right? It's still good. We are not even upscaling or anything. Again, remember tokens. If you remember from my how prompting works video, this also has tokens. So you have to think about how many tokens are needed. Max, go with 60 words. Don't add paragraph to it. So around 50 to 60 words should be fine. Okay. And we will see each of these in the next video. Right now, if you want, you can play with what is the width and the height of this. Right now, it's 512 by 512. And batch size means how many images you want. Let's say I want 4 images. I will make 4 and I will run. It's going to take a little longer time. And then you end up with 4 images, right? If I click on one is selected. Then I can go to the back, second one, third, fourth, right? Now, where are these images saved? That's something that I have to tell you. Okay, so if you go again, wherever comfyui is installed, which is in my case C drive, if I go to comfy, there is a folder called output. If you click on output, you will see all of the images, right? That includes this cat. It looks really nice, like it. And all of these buildings as well. Okay, so this is where all your images will be saved. Okay. Right now, don't change anything in comfyui. Let it be as it is. Now this is installed. Now let's see how to open Grasshopper, right? Because otherwise, how are we going to get some control? To open Grasshopper, what you got to do is that Rhino is installed, right? You can just open Rhino. Okay. So when Rhino opens, it looks like this, right? Rhino looks like this, which has basically your 4 views, top, front, right, and perspective view. There are 2 ways to call out Grasshopper. Either you see this bug, which basically means launch Grasshopper. Either you can do that, or you can click on command and type Grasshopper. Either of it is fine, and this will start working. So either methods work. Either you can click on this or you can type Grasshopper. That's also fine. Because I have multiple plugins loaded and now comfyui is also there and also recording, it's going to take some time to start. Okay. And when you open Grasshopper, you will see some of the tutorials files, right? So these are some of the tutorials that it has. You can click on any one really and then check how it works, right? For example, let's say I do this column arcade. Okay. So this is how it looks like. But right now, if this is installed, amazing. That's all you have to do for this one. You just have to install both Comfy and Grasshopper. It should look something like this. In your case, it will look, I'll tell you how it will look like. It will look like this. It will look like this. It will not look a dark version. That's a separate plugin that I installed. It will look like this light cream background with these things, right? Gotta have both of these installed. One is your comfyui, which looks like this. And second, Grasshopper that looks like this, right? I checked my recording again, and like I said, this might freeze my computer, and it did freeze my video altogether. But anyway, I hope you were able to install all this. If you have any problem installing, please comment and I will reply as quickly as possible. So that's mostly about it for this particular video. I hope I don't get freezed again in my computer. But anyway, thank you for your time. Please do like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.